Hello! I'm back. And this video is called The Best of the Worst! I'll be talking about games and franchises that are generally panned, but the games are actually pretty good. Or a game that is generally panned by some, and I explain why it's really good. And unlike in my worst of the best, where I did 10, I'm going to do 5 games that I think, get a bad rap. That are actually pretty good. So, after the cut, we'll get started from number 5 to number 1. After the break. Hello! Let's get started. Number 5. Game that's generally considered to be terrible, but, I actually liked. So, sue me. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. Now, I know what some people are going to say. That game was a steaming pile of shit. It wasn't that bad. Was it as good as, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 or Turtles in Time or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the arcade or game or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 on the NES or the Manhattan Project? No, it wasn't. But it wasn't terrible. Which brings me to, the game required, it wasn't a button masher arcade game. I don't know why people are so afraid of making button masher arcade style beat 'em ups anymore, but that's another topic for another day and another vid. So basically, you had to be a bit methodical in the combat system. You couldn't just, it wasn't Arkham Origins, okay? It was, you had to know when to counter, how to attack, when to dodge. You had to put in some time in order to get good at it. Which brings me to number 4. Number 4, best of the worst, this is a game that many people said this is a franchise. Normally, I'm not into product placement games, but this game was actually pretty good. The Cheetos game was garbage. Chex Quest was terrible. Well, it was Doom reskinned with Chex, but it still wasn't great. But this game was actually pretty good. What game am I talking about? I'm talking about Cool Spot with Spot for 7-Up. This game was actually pretty dang good. It was for the Sega Genesis and the SNES. I played the SNES version because that's what I had at the time. And I thought it was always pretty good. For a product placement game, it was pretty damn good. What can I say? Which brings me to number 3. Best of the worst. This game is widely considered to be the black sheep of the traditional Mario console titles. Some people consider it to be not as good, forgetting the contributions it made to the overall series. What game am I talking about? Super Mario Brothers 2. That's right, the one where everything's just a dream. The reason I say this game is not as bad as people think is because it introduced many tropes that have since become standard for Mario games. Picking up enemies and throwing them at other enemies. This game did first. Each character having their own stats. This game did it first. People forget that originally Mario and Luigi were just palette swaps for each other. And Luigi just jumped a little bit higher, but was harder to control. This game actually gave each character their own stats. Like, Mario was well balanced, Luigi had that flutter jump, Princess Peach was just cheap, and Toad, they said he was really strong. He could dig quickly. That was it. That was his only real strength. Okay. His jump was garbage. And he was fast. Toad was really, really fast. He was insane. He was like the fastest character in the game in terms of running speed. But this game brought a lot of villains. It brought Bob-ombs. It brought Sniffets and Shy Guys. You know, this game brought a lot of innovation, okay? And it also brought in the whole exploration aspect, which up until that point, Mario games were start from the left, run to the right. Or start from the right, run to the left. There was no real exploration, really. It was like, oh, I found a hidden block. Well, I hope I don't run too far to one direction, or the screen's not going to let me come back and get to it. The second game of the series on the NES really brought exploration to the forefront of the series. Something that has become a standard trope even now. So, you know, people need to realize this. Number 2, The Legend of Zelda: The Adventure of Link. This game is the second Legend of Zelda game. It takes place between the original Legend of Zelda and Link to the Past. It's the second game on the NES. And it's much better than people give it credit for. It is. It is. I mean, I know it's different. I know a lot of people get mad. They're like, oh, this game is... I'll tell you the truth. If they made a remake, and a remade version of the second Legend of Zelda: The Adventure of Link, and basically revamped it and made it more coherent and didn't have the limitations of technology, it could be a really good game. Just like they did Metroid Zero Mission, which was a remake of Super Metroid. This game could be awesome. Just saying. Just putting it out there. So, you know, it introduced a lot of things. It fleshed out the world. It had villages that Link could visit, characters he could talk to, apparently prostitutes he could visit. Prostitutes before GTA. So when people tell me, oh, you know, The Legend of Zelda is a terrible game, it's not terrible. The Legend of Zelda is a great game, if you know what you're doing. The Legend of Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link is a great game, if you know what you're doing. The only downside is that some of the enemies were cheap. But the thing is like, games in the Atari, NES, original Sega Genesis generation, even the Super Nintendo generation, games didn't hold your hand. You know, tutorials didn't exist. You basically got better at the game by just playing it. What a novel concept. Which brings me to number 1. The number 1 underrated game, the best franchise and the worst franchise, that people generally give a lot of flack to, but it's actually not that bad. Quest 64 on the N64. A lot of people say that game sucks. It's not that bad. Like, here's the thing. If you go into Quest 64 not expecting it to be a traditional RPG, it's not that bad. If you go into it expecting it to be a traditional RPG, you're going to be very disappointed. As I was. But a few weeks ago, after Christmas break, I basically went down into my basement, went under my crawl space, pulled out my N64 and my box of games that were with it, and I played Quest 64, and I gotta tell you, it's not that bad of a game. It's not great. It's not that bad either. Really, people should have given it a better chance. That's all I'm saying. And that's the end of the best of the worst. Cheers.